Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our coverage of eUnited versus Delta Fox. And once again, we could dive straight into the picks and bans for game number 2. These games are being casted off of replay. You know exactly what the pick and ban composition was. Interestingly enough, eUnited on the blue side this time are still going with that support Galio.
And it looks like potentially missed a ban right there. So we'll have to, hopefully hear about what that was. And just looking at the team comps, it looks like a lot more standard of a team comp this time around for eUnited, going with the EpicSkillshot and Elise. So they have a really strong topside dive potentially against the Kennen, who is going to be pushing up a lot. And then you have the Talia to potentially roam up there as well. And then the pretty stable bot lane with Ashe. Galio, that was our first time really seeing as far as I can remember on the NACS. I know they've played it before, but first time with eyes on it. And it looked like it was all right. Has a good push level 1, has good gank setup. But if you get crazy with it, and you justice punch in, you have no way out. So a pick you have to play a little bit safer with than you might normally want to.
Well, something will be more familiar to the North American Challenger Series broadcast viewers is the fact that there is a support Sejuani in this game, which we just saw in the previous series coming up from CLG Academy. And we'll see if Delta Fox is able to utilize this one a little bit better than CLA was, because CLA, they lost the game. They had the support Sejuani.
I mean, I'm surprised to keep seeing support Sejuani come up. I saw it with Gate. Looked all right. If it gets out of the lane, it can do some stuff, but they didn't do a ton with it. And then every time I see it since then, not nearly as impressive, though it appears we have some shenanigans, Tom.
Yeah, everybody is not where they were previously. And even though Scarra is in the jungle slot in your screen here,
with a smite.
With a smite, you see Shiphtur also running smite, but also playing Rek'Sai in the jungle. So
if this team,
all right, let me put it this way. If you hypothetically were, let's say, an analyst for this team, and you saw them draft this, what would your analysis of this be?
I mean, the draft itself makes a little bit of sense. You have the Kennen to pressure up on the top side. The Kassadin is a decent matchup in Talia and can maybe match the Roam. The Rek'Sai has a strong early game and can probably play into the Elise just fine. And then the bot lane, not one I'm particularly fond of. The Twitch, not a strong laner. And as far as I've seen, the Sejuani not particularly strong either, but you are against the Galio, so maybe it works out. The problem that you run into is the double smite. Now, maybe there's some crazy, strategy that we're just not prepared for going to come in with this Sejuani, but it could also be the case that Scarra forgot, who knows, hypothetically, to change his summoners.
Yeah, that's
from his jungle game on Nunu last time.
It could be. So maybe the bamboozling is not being done against eUnited, but within the Delta Fox team themselves. But we'll see. I mean, this could potentially pan out into something interesting. We talked about the changes to, the Locket of the Iron Solari at the pregame. One of the things that helps you scale with health is going for the Cinder Hulk enchantment. If you have a tank support, maybe that's something or maybe they're compensating for the fact that they don't have the Nunu for objective control, or maybe Scarra just forgot. There's a lot of reasons. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons and about one that I believe, and that's Scarra forgot one. And, it has big ramifications on your level 2 all-in potentially, as well as just your ability to avoid getting all-in, because you don't have that exhaust or ignite to really threaten in the lane. And when you're playing a melee support, one of the reasons that you think melee supports aren't, super aggro is because it's hard to really kill them generally. But without an exhaust to cut the other one or an ignite to threaten the trade back, it becomes a lot easier to all in a melee support, because he's not able to contribute anything from range the way, Karma can.
It's also interesting now to see Scarra paired up with PewDiePie on the bottom side of the map. I mean, former teammates were now on the bottom side, but at the same time, Shiphtur was a huge factor as to why they won that game and why PewDiePie got so far ahead.
Yeah, so that's part of the thing, is that we had seen Shiphtur and Scarra actually swap roles in their previous matchup last time around on Wednesday. Shiphtur played Rek'Sai then and actually had a really strong early game, and it was one of those games that kind of got out of Delta Fox's hands despite doing decent early on. And so this time around, he's probably going to hope for a similar early game, but one of the problems that just happened there was Dyrus just got chunked out really hard, had to go through his pot, and now he's potentially getting threatened to get dove on the top side right now by the Elise Renekton, which is one of the most brutal pre-6 dives in the game, and he is in a bad spot.
Here it comes, a quick stun there, a follow-up stun, and DanDy sinks his fangs in for first blood.
Ugh, it's clinical, too easy, and it's one of the things that you really need to game plan around a lot better if you are on the side of Delta Fox. when you go up against Renekton and Elise, securing a safe topside is one of the most important things you can do. And you saw early on there, Dyrus actually bumped into him into the tri-brush, and Shiphtur was too far away to really make that. Teleports back in,
teleports back, but he's right there still. Another stun, another slice and dice, and DanDy gets 2 kills for the price of 1.
If it wasn't bad enough the first time, it's going to get even worse. But DeltaFox wants to try and answer back on the bot side.
Oh, flash throw from Scarra, a flash and response from Deathly, and a flash after by Zeyzal. All these summoner spells going down, and now Shiphtur's been exhausted out. Scarra's taking a lot of damage. Deathly's relatively untouched on the backside.
Nothing happens. That is a pretty useless summoner for an all-in, huh?
You get so hyped up about that smite. I was like, what happened? Oh, nothing happened.
It was sarcastic, Tom.
Oh, man. DeltaFox unable to really turn that killer on. I mean, to point in case, you did see the effect of that exhaust being thrown down on Shiphtur, and he had to get himself out of there, and they weren't able to secure a kill whatsoever. Definitely relatively full HP still.
Yeah, not a good trade at all down the bot side. You would think that, especially with Dyrus getting dove on the top side, this game is going to get out of hand really fast. But that's what we said last time around with a 2,000 gold lead early into the game. DeltaFox was able to answer back, so they're probably going to hope for a little bit of the same magic this time around.
So down, but yet not out, as now we see GBM joining DanDy on this top side.
Dyrus is getting the full Dyrus treatment this time.
He's got his flash available, but we'll see if he's actually able to secure, stay alive against multiple members, multiple forms of CC. GBM not level 6 yet, though. Double flash is being used for a flash of Dyrus. Or actually, only one flash being used there by DanDy. Dyrus responded with his own.
Oh, life is not fun for Dyrus right now, but it's one of those things that you kind of have to try and keep a good perspective on, because during that time, you know, GBM was out of lane, gets caught out of position and loses his flash. So DeltaFox slightly able to punish that kind of waste of resources that came out of eUnited there. Kennen, who has already been dove twice, shut down against a Renekton who's extremely strong. It's not a lane you need to keep pressuring anymore. You've kind of made the impact that you need to in that matchup, and using 3 people's time there, not the best use of resources.
Yeah, more specifically, you've done it to Licorice, who was a huge factor for eUnited in the spring. It's continued to kind of be one of the more powerful points for this team. So ahead in this matchup, we've seen him be able to decimate most of the NACS Challenger top laners. This time around against the Dyrus and the Kennen, it looks like he's going to be exacting his revenge for game number 1, where even though he was down, he was still even in CS. This time around, doubling Dyrus' CS.
A very tough time getting the extra jungle attention. Voyboy now 6, though, against level 5 GBM. Zeyzal has a good roam here to kind of help get his mid laner, have that wave get in. And this is what we're talking about, maybe not being the best use of resource. But that said, Licorice is very strong on the top side. DanDy coming up again, but Void teleporting in to help.
Yeah, but there's a stun on the Cocoon away from the tower, so Voyboy's going to finish his teleport, but they're already backed away from tower aggro. Another kill going over, this time on the Licorice.
And the worst part of this is that it buys time for GBM to push in the mid lane as well, getting 6 for himself, but it looks like Shiphtur and Scarra want a piece of him.
Yeah, he has no summoners available, but Zeyzal's there. Justice Punch knocks up Shiphtur. He's going to wind up getting taunted as well, and one hammer fall down. Zeyzal picks up a kill, and now Voyboy under tower gets dove again. This is rinse and repeat. Top lane is just a death trap for DeltaFox.
Yeah, they keep sending people up there, and Elise and Renekton keep knocking them down in the mid lane at the same time. There was no flash on the side of Shiphtur, so even though Scarra got the stun, there was no chain CC follow-up, and it bought enough time for Zeyzal to get in there and bring in some of that, you know, crowd control that is available to that support Galio pick, able to stop that one and allow GBM to turn it back around. So a quick 5 kills on the side of eUnited, just 7.5 minutes in the game, and already a 3,000 gold advantage.
DanDy going to be able to counter jungle the red buff. Finally gets that last auto attack on. I thought the Spiderling would finish it off, but not quite enough damage. So DanDy, now level 6 on this Elise pickup, has a Dark Seal for himself as well. So feeling pretty confident after all those events that happened in the top lane. Already has 2 stacks on that one from his first bag.
Yep, that's a pretty aggressive Elise build. We talked about how the lack of respect that came in last game might have hurt them. This time around, eUnited with a better comp, but based off the early game, they might, you know, kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit, maybe not have the same killer mentality that you really need, and maybe that allows DeltaFox to get back in the game, but it's going to be an even harder climb this time around.
Now, we'll see if DeltaFox is going to be able to come back and stabilize themselves. They did it last game by matching the rotation after a tower fell, but this time around is eUnited kind of prolonging the lane phase a little bit. They got multiple dives off on the top side. They got multiple kills picked up for themselves, but they're not hard pressuring to push for a first tower like they did in game number 1, where they gave Deathly over that gold advantage. Actually, on the bottom side of the map, they're the ones that are being pressured in, mainly because Zeyzal and Scarra as well have been zooming around the map and roaming around on these double melee support pickups, trying to make things happen elsewhere for their teams.
Been a lot more effective on the side of Zeyzal, able to help out in that mid lane play. Imqatpie roaming up here to get onto GBM. Has no idea he's there. Might be able to find a kill.
Ooh, winds up throwing out the W, and he's going to wind up getting slowed down and taken down as Voyboy gets himself a much-needed kill in the mid lane.
A nice collapse on the side of Delta Fox. Twitch roams up from the bot lane because you said they had that priority down there. Meets up in the mid lane while GBM still doesn't have summoners available, and the extremely mobile Castellan is able to join in on that gank attempt. But things are still rough for Dyrus up on the top side here, chunked down to about 200 health. He's got to back out of here in the next minute or so because Zeyzal, as soon as his cooldowns come back up, he's going to be slicing and dicing for his 3rd kill of the game.
And Dyrus backing away a long way away from this tower as Licorice is going to be content to just get some extra tower damage on this one and then proxy away a wave as well because he does not want to quite take that one down yet, and he has no minions to back him up. Now on the bottom side here, Delta Fox trying to make something happen, but Zeyzal scouting around in his bottom side jungle. Sees the fact that Shiphtur and Scarra syncing up as the jungle support synergy, both their roles and in their champions. That was a teleport. He doesn't have flash. Licorice pops the Dominus, and then it's going to be diving down on a Dyrus yet again. The slicing Maelstrom does nothing, and DanDy is on a killing spree.
Dyrus' 4th death of the game. Not much he can do from this position, and a really tough spot to be put in. You basically see no assistance come up to the top side other than that one teleport that came in from Voyboy that was just too slow to finish channeling given how fast the Elise and Renekton are able to remove it from the map. So Dyrus in a very tough spot. Definitely could use some more help early on. And, you know, the decision to go skirmish down around your bot lane, which is disadvantaged with the summoner choice, probably not the best early game on the side of Delta Fox.
Yeah, so what was good for them in game 1 is not good for them here in game 2 as GBM going to pop the flash. Voyboy actually taking a bit of damage for himself. GBM seems content to throw this down in the mid lane. In the meantime, saw DanDy soloing the Rift Herald. The flash throw from Scarra. The Glacial Person goes out. They've locked down and taken down GBM. It's a kill going over to Scarra. So Delta Fox continuing to harper down on this mid lane. Now the taunt lands onto Shiphtur. The exhaust to follow up. DanDy flashes, misses the cocoon. He's got a lot of damage on this 6 now stacked Darksteel Elise.
Yeah, going the early pen boots as well. Has not bought a single jungle item after his initial one. He has gone full damage, as aggressive as you can get, wanting to keep punishing this top side and all these skirmishes that he knows are going to break out. Worth mentioning that they also grabbed the Rift Herald there, and things are looking a little tough for the side of Delta Fox, as we forgot to mention as well, the top turret, first turret of the game, going down in favor of eUnited.
Goes over to Licorice as well, so even getting further press on this Renekton versus Kennen advantage. 7 kills to 2, 4,000 gold at less than 12 minutes. Delta Fox is going to need another one of those rotation miracle fights to get somebody on this team fed. They're harpering down on GBM in the mid lane, which is good, but they haven't necessarily gotten the same kind of anti-snowball effect on one person.
It's a pretty unlucky game, so to speak, where you saw what this team comp can do well. They can roam the Twitch up. The Rek'Sai has a lot of aggressive angles it can take on the immobile Taliyah, and so if you hold out till 6, you have a lot of playmaking there. You should have a strong top half of the map, but because that got swayed so hard by the early Elise pressure, because your bot side is missing a summoner where it should really have an exhaust or ignite, you basically lost out on 2 pressure points that you should have. Even the bot lane, though not a pressure point, is at least not so weak. And as a result, they are just so much further behind than you would normally expect based off their draft.
Now we see eUnited transitioning all of this map pressure into an Infernal Drake for themselves. That's going to wind up being the first one of the game being taken down, and a very, very powerful one at that.
That is going to be great for their comp, given the amount of damage this thing builds. And they are already pressuring around the mid lane. Great game so far out of eUnited, off the back of some very, very aggressive DanDy pathing as the... Oh, it didn't take the damage.
No, well, Rift Herald charged at the tower. The tower's already dead.
Yeah, it just kind of stumbled before it got
there. We go. So they're actually looking for a second tower here as they locked up on the Scarra, and very impressive performance here in game number 2 from eUnited. A swipe out from the Rift Herald gets more damage onto the tower as a second one falls with this Rift Herald acquisition. This is the eUnited we expected to see in game number 1.
Yeah, and it kind of demonstrates one of the changes that we're seeing compared to the eUnited of the spring split of the North American Challenger Series, where they almost exclusively played around their mid lane in the early game with Gilius and Fox synergy. This time, DanDy really snowballing Licorice as Dyrus goes for the execute at the top.
He knows he was dead at that point. I guess he figures he can't get away. A flash away from Imqatpie, dodged out on the arrow, but he gets knocked back in by the seismic shove. Zeyzal is in the area just to support his Voyboy. Teleports into that fight, tries to get something done. The hero's entrance is there. A teleport back from Licorice. He wants to join the fray, get a kill for himself, winds up giving it over to Deftly. An assist picked up Delta Fox now just beating away kills 9-2 in favor of eUnited.
Yeah, things not looking good on the side of Delta Fox. A 7,000 gold lead just about. And their comp is going to have a hard time.
Scarra going in on the DanDy. That's a 402 full damage. Elise does repel up, must wind up coming down. Shiphtur on the backside has the support for Scarra. The bottom side on the map going in favor of eUnited as well. 4 towers now taken down for them. Shiphtur didn't get the memo to back away, continue to chase out on the DanDy. He's got Zeyzal right there. The ultimate gets just juked out there, and DanDy winds up picking up another kill.
DanDy up to 5 now, the 8th stack Elise. Scarra running away there, not quite on the exact same page when they went to go onto DanDy initially. And this is like we were saying, there's a lot more threats now on the side of eUnited. Licorice, rank 1 North American player, hit that a little while ago, playing a lot of carry-oriented champions and officially off tank duty this split.
Yeah, looks like it. His Renekton pickup has been solid. Oh, he was pretty solid on it in the spring. We've seen Rumble performances from him. We saw a Fiora game from him that was extremely well. Now also DanDy. Saw him on his kind of signature Lee Sin pickup, although he has a skin on Rengar. Lee Sin has kind of been one of his more potent pickups for a large majority of his League of Legends career. Now on the Elise here, 5-0-2. Definitely strutting his stuff. And we see Licorice forcing the flash off from Dyrus just with a slice and dice. Shiphtur kind of comes in just to support on the backside. Now DanDy actually going to get locked up, stunned up, and taken down. A much-needed shutdown gold spree goes over to Voyboy on this Kassadin. Imqatpie looking to start a fight in the mid lane here. Gets arrowed up. Zeyzal is here, but so is Scarra. So the rest of eUnited decides to back away from that.
It's not just a big gold shutdown. Ooh. Hold on for a second.
Flash, slice, dice, death. Licorice picked up a kill onto Dyrus, as now this has evolved into full solo queue style as Delta Fox tried to collapse down onto Zeyzal. GBM throws out the Weaver's Wall, cuts off the escape, but he just runs into the rest of Delta Fox here. Now Shiphtur's gonna get the bite and a kill given over. This is Delta Fox picking up some decent kills on the bottom side, but losing objectives on the top side. It's
starting to kind of get pulled back down into Delta Fox's territory where they're most comfortable, getting very, very scrappy. DanDy trying to play around Licorice a little bit, gets cut off there by Delta Fox, and then the rest of eUnited not backing out of the mid lane allows him to get chased down. This is still a Kassadin. He has a lot of mobility, ways to chase people who are caught out of position, as well as the fact that Imqatpie kind of baited that fight well. And very questionable Talia ult on the side of GBM as well.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to cut the escape off, but wound up hopping off the wall directly into the rest of Delta Fox. So little missteps here for the side of eUnited, but they still have a very comfortable gold lead at this point in time. But the biggest question, or the biggest reason we're raising these concerns, is because early game they had advantages in game number 1, and then they threw them away, and Delta Fox just rode it out from there. So a couple mistakes like that could be something that Delta Fox can capitalize on. But at this point in time, as you mentioned before, 5 kills in total as opposed to the 5 kills EpicSkillshot had because of those mistakes earlier.
Yeah, and that was also a 2,000 gold lead that they threw away by 8 minutes, and the rest of the game was pretty close, as well as the fact that their team comp was not particularly good last game. This time around, eUnited, very cohesive team comp, executed the game plan well, have a massive gold lead, and they should be able to close this game out pretty soon if they keep playing around Licorice, because there's really no way to hold him down right now. He is completely out of control.
You see Dyrus trying to push up this top lane again, but GBM was waiting in the wings. Oh, leads him directly into an Ash Arrow. DanDy with a cocoon, a seismic shove just for a little bit of a love tap, and DanDy picks up his 6th kill of the game.
You know, Dyrus isn't worth that much gold anymore at this point. He's like a big minion, and to be honest, Kennen's not that different of a size, so he might be able to blend in here pretty soon and maybe get some split pushing going for the side of Delta Fox.
One can hope that's the effect that Dyrus will have on these fights. Is his teleport's not going to be effective. He's going AD Kennen, so his ultimate won't be a fight-changing kind of thing. And his split push pressure may be the one thing he can provide for the side of Delta Fox, but you have the Talia with a semi-global coming in from the Weaver's Wall, is able to go cut people off. You have Licorice, who's able to split push on his own, and Delta Fox setting up a fight and actually land a Glacial Prison down on the Deathly as eUnited was maybe stepping a little bit too far forward in this mid lane. Locking down on the Zeyzal now, so 2 kills picked up for the price of, well, the Dyrus earlier. But at the same time, Licorice says, you know, I'm going to stop getting kills since Ken is not worth anything and start picking up tower kills. A 6th one of the game for eUnited.
Nice job on the side of Delta Fox, having the ability to pull that trigger. You see Scarra start that one off. It's one of the things that the support Sejuani can really do well. I wasn't too high on it before, but if it's able to find engages like that, it can be extremely strong.
Dropping down extremely low, has to smite the red buff, gets it for himself, and stays alive. Now GBM getting locked down on Imqatpie, goes on to a killing spree here. DanDy is going to get stunned up afterwards. Repels up, has to come down. Kill goes over to Imqatpie. A 4-1-2 Twitch. Qtpie could be the saving grace in game 2 as well.
Yeah, this is starting to get a little scary if you're eUnited. You need to realize that Delta Fox's team fighting is no joke. And while you've shut down the Kennen extremely well, the Kassadin, not actually too far behind. CS numbers a little low, but does have a lot of kills and assists, and then especially that Twitch pick. And the Sejuani will be able to start things off as well. So, you know, if your Renekton's not going to be grouping up that much, and your Elise is full damage with you know, no resist. If you have someone get picked off, your Taliyah and your Ashe are not actually that strong in comparison to the carries of Delta Fox.
Well, Delta Fox, once again, Dyrus trying to get some sort of split push threat down. Draws 3 members from the side of eUnited down here, as you mentioned, being his 8th death of the game right now. It's not worth a ton of gold. I see at plus 40.
I've never seen, you know, a team try so hard to kill one minion. You know, usually you kind of just like, you know, divide your resources and split the minion waves up.
CLG Academy versus Tempo Storm game number 2. I saw a lot of CLG Academy members trying to kill a super minion at 18 minutes.
It's a little more difficult to do than killing a Kennen right now.
This specific game, I would have to agree with that one. 7,500 gold lead now for the side of eUnited. Although Delta Fox might be looking to make a play happen on the opposite side. They've been able to pick off GBM multiple times while he's not quite Dyrus gold status right now. He still has a kill and a couple of assists onto his name, so he's still worth a little bit. That could be the window of opportunity Delta Fox really needs, but they also need to really start taking objectives in this game because they got 0 dragons, didn't get the Rift Herald, 0 towers still. There's a lot of unlocked gold on this map. It's going to be difficult to access.
They actually do have a Infernal Dragon picked up earlier in the game, but you are correct that 20 minutes into a game where you have massive advantages, you should probably have more dragons taken. So this time around, eUnited finally going to turn on this Mountain Dragon, pick this one up. It will actually help a ton from their current position because they can always look at Baron and try and melt that one down, as well as kind of unlocking Licorish's split push further in his ability to take these turrets in a 1v1 situation. And Delta Fox almost found a good opportunity to get a pick-off onto GBM there, but they were a little gun-shy given the fact that they didn't know where eUnited members were. They were all around the top side as Licorish had that KDA.
Whew. Dyrus pots the Blade of the Rune King, able to run away from that one as Licorice pots his own Titanic Hydra to get a large chunk of damage on the Dyrus.
And we see once again, we talk about that rotation up to the top side. GBM's going to be forced to back away here as Scarra showed on a ward. This is buying room for Voyboy to work around on the top side. He is probably getting relatively close to his Lich Bane, and once that comes online, the split push Kassadin will become a much larger threat. It's a little surprising to see them leave the Taliyah versus it as opposed to the Renekton, because anyone can handle the Kennen right now, but not everyone can handle the Kassadin.
Yeah, well, they need a way to break these inner inhibitor towers from the side of eUnited. So Renekton being their strongest member might be their key to do so. We saw Qtpie kind of skirting around the outside there as Voyboy is able to finally work down on that top outer tower. So the first tower of the game goes over to Delta Fox at the hands of Voyboy's Kassadin on the split push. They still got to be careful about eUnited on the bottom side of the map. Licorice level 14, highest level in the game. Very, very powerful threat here. Full 2 items on this Renekton. No, like you mentioned, nobody can really match him in the split push right now.
Nope. But like we said, the team fighting of Delta Fox is extremely strong, so if you can win a team fight before he teleports in, maybe you can win that situation. But here's one in the mid lane.
Ooh, they land the arrow on the Qtpie, was able to quickly QSS that one away, but he's already got Licorice down on him, and Galio comes in with the hero's entrance, is able to pick up another kill for the side of eUnited. So without the Fed member from the side of Delta Fox, and a lot of the wave clear, to be completely honest, it's going to be eUnited pressuring down into that mid lane inhibitor tower. This is how they're going to crack the base from Delta Fox to pick off Imqatpie. And now we see GBM. Weavers were all across the base, cuts Scarra off from the rest of his team. They're zoning away the members of Delta Fox. They take that mid lane inhibitor for themselves. Dyrus takes a chunk of damage coming out from GBM. They back away after taking the inhibitor.
Licorice, really nice flank there to follow up on the arrow that came in from Deftly. They ding out Imqatpie, but even though he has the QSS, there's still a Renekton on top of your face. It does not remove that, only regular debuffs. So Licorice is able to stay on top of him, get a kill, and then once we, the Twitch is gone, we're talking about the team fight potential. It's almost all resting on the Twitch being alive and getting a nice spray and pray down on some key targets. Not able to pull that one off there, and eUnited rides that team fight victory all the way to their first inhibitor of the game.
Is that how we describe Renekton at this point? He's 4-0 and 5, so he's an irregular debuff?
Yeah, he's a status debuff. Like, he gets on your face, and if you don't get him off in the first 2 seconds, you die.
You die. All right. Well, we saw that happen to Qtpie right there. Now he's 4-2-2 on this Twitch. As we mentioned already, very high priority target for the side of eUnited to try to get down, as he's one of the members of Delta Fox is keeping him in this one. We see Shiphtur tagging with the damage, using the ultimate to try to jump in, but he gets chunked out immediately. Now Licorice teleports into the fray. He's trying to pick up a kill on the Scarra. DanDy's able to pick up a kill on Shiphtur as he was trying to run away after engaging right there. Now the support Sejuani, the last deathless member on the team of Delta Fox, will fall. Voyboy gets tagged by the Winds of War, and now Hawkshot soars over him. They know exactly where he is, and GBM flashing forward. Doesn't want to get up a kill. Oh, yes, he does.
And
Throws
with
another
that
rock.
team fight victory as Delta Fox tries to get an answer kill pick off in the jungle. Oh, EpicSkillshot trying to open up here.
Ooh, but there's so many shields and so much life steal on the side of eUnited that they're able to keep that one alive and just take them down. Triple kill finalized there by GBM. Dyrus gets himself a tower, but eUnited got themselves a Baron.
Yep, Delta Fox looking for the pick off in the jungle. They have managed to find a couple so far, and they wanted to try and surprise eUnited before they really set back up around Baron with that mid inhibitor down. DanDy is able to avoid enough of the damage to wait for his team to collapse, and once they win that fight is, hold on a second, Dyrus is
Hello, Dyrus. GBM is back. He winds up using the sidekick shove to zone him into the corridor, and actually slicing Maelstrom trying to stun GBM. A flash away from Dyrus. Is he going to stay alive? Sleeve's trying to throw these rocks, trying to catch up to him. Kennen
out.
One more little electrical surge gets him out alive.
Well, the Ash Arrow was coming up in about 10-15 seconds. Maybe if they wanted to chase all the way into the base, they could follow up, but guess not.
Don't have many other things to do on the map right now besides to push down into Delta
Well, you could always
Fox's
win the
base.
game,
Yeah.
if you felt so inclined.
Well, United at this point in time have about a 11,000 gold advantage. Baron buff on their side for about another 2.5 minutes. And some very, very beefy members on their team, specifically Licorice and DanDy. Combined for a lot of kills on the top side of the map, and then transitioned into a lot of kills all across the map. And Delta Fox now has to weather the storm of a Baron buffed up, very strong United squad to even think about coming back into this game.
Yep, and here you see eUnited grouping up as 5 with this Baron buff. There's no reason to spread out if you don't need to. They can just focus down this turret, and not a ton of wave clear available for Delta Fox. Cassidy not bringing a ton, Twitch not bringing a ton. They're going to need to pull the trigger here or just potentially concede all their objectives.
Well, the bottom lane inhibitor tower goes down, and Scarra actually charges in, locks down the GBM on the backside. Licorice is on Imqatpie, has to try to heal and run away with the QSS from the stun. DanDy's chasing after him, but in the front line, definitely picked up one kill. Licorice picks up another. DanDy is chasing away Imqatpie from his own base, and that's going to be all she wrote for Delta Fox. eUnited tie up the series 1-1.
Imqatpie preserves the KDA. Most importantly, eUnited bounces back in game 2, a much better draft and much better play. A good execution on the game plan of stopping that Kennen from getting any split push pressure with using that Elise early game. This is one of the reasons that you see this champion banned out all the time.
Yep.
United were able to move up there and punish a couple mistakes that happened on the side of Delta Fox. Pretty unfortunate to see the mix-up in the summoners on Scarra. Potentially giving up your top side like that works out a little bit better if that 3v2 that happened on the bot side actually goes in Delta Fox's favor and they're able to pick up a kill or two. Maybe the Twitch starts snowballing a little bit earlier. But unfortunately, without having an exhaust or ignite, that all-in didn't have much of a chance. And you know, while that's not working down the bot side, Dyrus is getting Dyrus on the top side.
Yeah, that's very true. And the fact of the matter is, too, the Rek'Sai pickup, basically, Shiphtur playing Rek'Sai and Scarra playing so far every other jungler in the champion pool for the side of Delta Fox wasn't super impressive. It wasn't like Shiphtur got such massive early game advantages that while Dyrus and dove on the top side, they were really able to do anything. Sure, some of it was the fact they didn't have the extra summoner spell coming out from Scarra support Sejuani on the bottom side, but he wasn't ever at a farm advantage against Dan. He wasn't punishing him for continuously being top side and taking away his bottom side jungle. The Rek'Sai pick overall, while we saw it being used, by Santorin in the games yesterday very effectively, it was not quite the same for Delta Fox.
Yeah, and the Rek'Sai pick functions a little differently than it used to. It used to have basically no power spike at 6 in terms of gank potential or combat stats, but now with the ultimate actually doing damage as well as serving as a gap closer, you actually do come online a little bit more as a ganker at 6. And you saw them actually turn a couple plays around the mid lane, especially when Scarra started roaming and the Twitch started roaming. So you could easily see how this comp could function. If they stayed even early on. It does still struggle from behind. Even if you're not necessarily that far behind, it doesn't have a ton of wave clear. It's mostly focused on team fighting and things like that. So all that said, United played really well to really negate the advantages that Delta Fox could have had.
Right, and United also played very well to secure the advantages that they accrued in the early stages of the game. There wasn't the overzealous dive where they didn't know that Delta Fox's bottom lane was rotating up like what happened in game number 1, and they were able to preserve that early game gold advantage, even though they floundered a little bit and had a couple of scrappy fights. They were still able to secure a massive gold advantage and just kind of snowball that into eventually exploding the Nexus.
Yeah, that was the big thing, is that they took that inhibitor turret inhibitor, and as soon as that went down, Delta Fox felt pressure because they knew their wave clear isn't good. They're probably gonna get weighted out at Baron, and so they wanted to pull the trigger instantly. Doesn't quite work. They get picked off, not able to find DanDy, and then after that the game's basically over, as it had been looking pretty bad for a while there.
Yeah, well, we're headed to another break, but when we come back, we'll get a chance to look at game number 3 of eUnited and Delta Fox. We'll see who claims our final victory.